Welcome to episode 74. It's finally here of Kings of Consoles. This is the podcast where we're trying to find the best game for each home video game console by means of giant tournaments. Today we are checking out the number 2 seed, The Legend of Zelda, as it takes on the number 95 seed, Mega Man 4. I'm Pat Dooley.
And I'm Ricky Geraldo. Pat, we're back.
We're back. Oh my God, I missed you. I've actually seen you in person since the last time we recorded.
That is true.
How long it's been since we recorded. Yeah, we were talking before we got started. We have not had a new episode since August 5th. So by the time this episode comes out on the 30th, it will have been 8 weeks. So we do apologize.
Yeah.
You know, life got in the way. I battled COVID. Our work schedules have been insane. We were both in Chicago for a weekend without access to being able to record anything. But like
for a day for me.
For a day for you, for 16 hours.
For 16 hours.
Yeah. Life has finally settled down a little bit to the point where we can actually find some time to hop on, play the games to begin with. And then actually record and edit and upload an episode for you. So hopefully you guys have missed us as much as we've missed you. But I definitely missed playing old games. You want to you just kind of jump right in?
Let's do it, man. Yeah, it's been a long time, so I'm glad we can finally talk about it.
Yeah, well, and actually, before we jump in, because it's been so long, because it's been 8 weeks, I figured we should probably do just a real quick recap of what's already happened in round 3, just in case you've forgotten. Metal Storm, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, Mega Man 2, Journey to Silius, and Final Fantasy have all advanced to the round of 16, eliminating Excite Bike, Bionic Commando, Little Samson, Mega Man 3, and Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos. So today we are going to get our 6th of the final 16. Rearranged the episode order. You can see the new schedule on Challenge. But just because I wanted to keep the Castlevania games in October was the main reason that happened. So there's just a little bit of, moving stuff around. But because we had already said on that last episode that this was going to be the next one, we decided to go ahead and keep this as the next one, rather than use it. You were going to talk about Zelda. Why are you talking about Metroid? So just to get out in front of that, that's why we did that. But yeah, so our underdog this week, number 95, Mega Man 4. It is a 1992 action platformer from Capcom, directed by Yoshinori Takanaka, who also is credited as a designer alongside S. Kobayashi and Keiji Inafune. Inafune is also credited as an artist, along with Hayato Kaji and Kazunori Tazaki. The game was produced by Tokuro Fujiwara, programmed by Tadashi Kuwana, and its soundtrack was composed by Minai Fuji and Yasuaki Fujita. We first saw this way back in episode 9 when it beat Gradius, and then again in episode 62 when it eliminated Micro Machines. In the year 20XX, a new villain has emerged, a Russian scientist named Dr. Cossack, and his plan to dominate the world is basically the same as Dr. Wily's, 8 robot masters seizing control of cities. Dr. Light equips Mega Man with a new and improved Mega Buster and sends him after them. Of course, the reason the plot is exactly the same as Dr. Wily's is because Wily is manipulating Cossack, as he's kidnapped Cossack's daughter Kalinka, which then leads to another final showdown between Mega Man and Dr. Wily. In addition to the new Mega Buster, the game also introduces the Wire Adapter and Balloon Adapter, which are hidden in-game rather than awarded to Mega Man for beating a boss. Also, the game introduces Flip Top Eddie, a character who literally opens the top of his head to give Mega Man a power-up of some kind. He was originally created during development for Mega Man 2, but didn't actually wind up appearing until 4. This is the lowest ranked Mega Man game on IGN's list, and the lowest ranked game remaining in the tournament. And several publications and reviewers consider this a sort of turning point for the quality of the series. Jeremy Parrish from OneUp.com writes, "Here's where the series starts to go off the rails a bit. The Dr. Wily fake out was silly, the music was terrible, the bosses and weapons are uninspired, and the ability to charge up the Mega Buster is often cited as a game-breaking innovation. It did, however, win Nintendo Power's award for Best Overall Game of 1992. And it is one of 5 games left in the tournament from Capcom. So, the big question, we've now played Mega Man 4 for 3 hours, spread over the course of, a year and a half now at this point. Does it still hold up? Is this still a worthy contender for the crown?
I kind of have to agree with that review.
Yeah.
Looking back in it, the Mega Buster is kind of broken.
It is.
Charging up. Like you can beat this game. I mean, spoilers, but I believe I already beat this game in previous episode.
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. And yeah, he's right. The music, it's not, we know how good the music could be in a Mega Man game.
Yes.
And it could, Mega Man 2, guys, I still listen to it in my car. Like, it's so good.
The soundtrack to Mega Man, Mega Man 2 might have the best soundtrack of any game in the entire tournament, out of any of the 100 games. It's at least in the conversation. I mean, Mario, the original Mario, probably has it beat, but I don't know, man. Mega Man 2, that music is so good.
So good. So yeah, I think it has one of the best intros ever. I love the intro of this game.
That opening cinematic is fantastic. It's
the opening cinematic is hands down the best part of this game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably true. Once you hit start, it kind of all goes downhill from there.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's not a bad game. Definitely not a bad game.
No.
It definitely does deserve to be up here, but you could tell that this is not the best Mega Man. Mm-hmm. Now that we played so many hours of number 2, or I think that's it, right? Number 2 is the only one that's left.
I believe you're right. Of the Mega Man games, there's still a couple other Capcom games.
Because I believe
5 is still in it. 5 is going to be against RC Pro Am later in this round. But yeah, so 2, 4, and 5 are the only Mega Mans left. 1 and 3 are both gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we talked about when we talked about Mega Man 3 way back in July, 2 episodes ago, about how there was sort of a changing of the guard at Capcom in terms of who was in charge of the Mega Man franchise. But 3 was still really good. Like just really, really good. Didn't quite beat Journey to Silius, which is our Cinderella story of the tournament. But you can definitely feel the pains of it here in 4. Like 3 still had some of that Mega Man 2 magic to it. This one just kind of feels like they knew they needed to make another Mega Man, so they just made another Mega Man.
Yeah. Definitely.
None of the enemies are particularly inspired. Some of the levels are cool. Like Skullman's level is cool, and the design of several of them, like Skullman and Pharaoh Man, both have really cool looks.
And Wally's castle looks kind of great too.
Yeah.
I thought, but
no, I agree. It's just, coming off of 2 and 3, which are just, obviously Mega Man 2 has, in my opinion, the best bosses in the entire series. But then 3 also had very cool levels. The Snake Man's level was really cool, and it felt like a pretty significant step back for the franchise here. And definitely that comment from was it Paris Parrish, sorry, from oneup.com about the Mega Buster. Yeah, you're 100% right. It's you probably, if you were good enough at this game and you devoted enough time to it, could probably beat the game just using the Mega Buster. But that's it. I also felt like this is really hard, but in like the cheap kind of hard Mega Man, not in the fun like Mega Man 2 challenge hard. But like a lot of the times I was dying were in like, oh, come on, really? Places.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that like the other games are hard and fun. This time some levels were pretty just hard.
Yeah.
Just to be hard. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this random guy came out of nowhere just to kill me. Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to jump across this gap. Oh, hey, there's an enemy that wasn't there before that's just going to knock you out of the air and you die. We both talked a little bit in previous episodes about how did this get played, the podcast. And Nick Weiger tells a story on one episode about how when he was in game development, sometimes when a level or a boss is too easy, their solution to it would just be to raise like the number of hit points that the enemy has, which just makes the game longer. It doesn't necessarily make it harder, just kind of makes it cheaper. And I feel like that was kind of how they were with this. Like they played through the levels like, oh, this one was pretty easy. Let's add like a fish thing that jumps out from between these two platforms when you're jumping over it. Like, well, you didn't need to do that. You have to stand on this pixel to trigger them jumping. Otherwise, they will jump into you while you're in midair. Yeah, just it's kind of cheap. And
so cheap.
Disappointing. And part of it is that like both games this week are really hard. So, kind of playing them both back to back was probably clouds both of them. Because like all that came out of that gaming session was frustration. Well, so let's move on to the odds-on favorite here, the number 2 seed in the tournament. Again, these for those of you that haven't listened, well, nobody's listened for 8 weeks, but for those of you that are listening for the first time, we took IGN's list of the 100 best NES games to make our bracket. Zelda shows up number 2 there. This is a 1987 action-adventure game developed and published by Nintendo, directed by Shigeru Miyamoto, who also produced, and Takashi Tezuka, who also designed the game. It was written by Tezuka, with backstory for the game manual written by Keiji Terui. It was programmed by Toshihiko Nakago, Yasunari Soejima, and Ai Marui, and the iconic score was composed by Koji Kondo. Of course it was. It had a first round bye, and then back in episode 57, we saw it beat Gargoyle's Quest 2, The Demon Darkness, to get to this point. The small kingdom of Hyrule is invaded by the Prince of Darkness, Ganon, who has stolen the Triforce of Power. To prevent him from stealing the Triforce of Wisdom, Princess Zelda splits it into 8 fragments, which she then places in 8 secret underground dungeons before being abducted by Ganon. The hero Link's journey begins when he finds a mysterious old man in a cave who tells him, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this," and gives him his first sword. He then sets off to find the pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom, get the Triforce of Power back from Ganon, and rescue the princess. It was a launch title for the Famicom Disk System in Japan, but the cartridge version was released nearly 2 years after the release in the NES in the States. It was the first home console game to ever include an internal save battery, which is notable and historic. It is the 6th best-selling game in NES history, with over 6.5 million copies sold, and it is the 4th highest remaining in the tournament behind Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3. And it is one of 11 games still in the tournament published by Nintendo. So we spent the 2 hours with it in round 2, and now the hour with it this time. Have your feelings on Zelda changed at all?
I know it's still the same old Zelda. Like, once again, I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for it. Zelda is not for me. Like, the only one I've truly liked was Ocarina of Time.
The classic. I still contend that's probably the best in the entire franchise.
And I don't know, man. I don't know what it is with Zelda games that just I get it. It's a great game. 100% great. Like all the things you could do, this sort of like, here you go, like good luck is there. And it's actually, thinking about it, it's very Breath of the Wild. Like I didn't know how Zelda Breath of the Wild was.
Yeah,
if
just
you think
pure
about
open world, you're just kind of dropped into it. All right, go off and explore, find stuff. We're not going to hold your hand.
Yep. So I get where it's coming from, but
yeah. Well, I personally enjoyed it significantly more this time around. I don't know what it was, but a big part of it was I had the boomerang this time, which is basically an literal game changer. A lot of times when you don't have the boomerang and you're just relying on, well, I got to get in close to this thing to kill it. So of course it's going to hit me because it takes me 3 or 4 slashes of my sword to kill this, Octorok or whatever. And all the while it's, shooting rocks at me. But you hit it with the boomerang, stun it, and then run over, slash, 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 and it's dead. Much easier. We had talked back in episode 57 about how, part of the goal is we wanted to play these games, one, as blind as we could, but also in the way that people playing it in 1987 would have played it. And in 1987, you would have had a guide. Like there was a map in the instruction manual of where everything was. So I found a map online. That was all I did, was I just found a map to where the dungeons were. I didn't look up any hints or tricks on how to get through the dungeons. But just having that little bit of extra information of where I was going made the, there was way less like wandering around. Like, well, I have seen this quadrant of bushes 14 times in the last hour, and I don't know where I'm going. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more this time than I did the first time. But again, like the reason this is iconic is because of what came after. Like without Legend of Zelda, there would be no, Link to the Past for Super Nintendo, which is also a great game. There'd be no Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild, all of these great games that have come since as part of the franchise. This jumping off point, honestly, one of the weaker games in the franchise, but it did set the tone. It's got that Koji Kondo score. It's got the boomerang, it's got the swords, it's got the shield, it's got the bombs, it's got the when you find a hidden thing. This is where it all began. But I feel like that number 2 seed is very, very high for the actual quality of the game.
Yeah, I think if there was a video game Hall of Fame, this would be in it for sure.
Course. Yeah, absolutely. It's a trailblazer.
But yeah, I agree. I don't know. It needs I'm so like torn about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable.
But
well, do we want to, because we kind of tiptoed around it a little bit, do we want to talk about who made it farther?
Sure, let's do it.
Who made it farther? Who made it farther?
All right. Thank you again. It's been a while, but Ryan, thank you for that Who Made It Farther theme. It was nice to hear that again after 8 weeks. Mega Man 4. I'm just going to give this to you because I know, like you mentioned, you've already beaten it once. So unless you somehow got worse at it over time, I spent the entire hour trying to beat any boss, just any boss. My password had me past Toadman, Brightman, and Pharaoh Man. I made it to Ringman several times, only to die every time. And I also made it to Skullman a couple of times, only to die. And then I don't remember what other levels I played. Dive Man, I think, and not Drill Man, but whatever the other one is. I played that. I played every level that I hadn't already beat multiple times, and didn't progress at all. So yeah, so that's another one for you. Zelda.
Yeah, so the second time I got to what do you call it? Drill Man.
Okay.
So I made it. So I beat all the ones, and then I love Drill Man for last because I don't know if you don't know, Drill Man is supposed to be the final guy you meet.
Yeah, because you need Dive Man's weapon to beat him, but to beat Dive Man, you need Skull Man's weapon, and to beat Skull Man, you need a giant game of rock paper scissors that is the Mega Man franchise.
It's true.
So yeah, 7-0 is a pretty significant difference between the two of us on that one. Zelda, it's nice having that internal save battery that games before it never had. Was able to pick up where I left off last time. How many of the dungeons have you beat, if any?
So the last part I got to the dungeon, or the last dungeon I got to, was the one where it says it's a secret to everybody.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's the water one.
Oh, the moblin that shows it, like where you're like in that cave and there's like a rupee in front of him.
Yeah.
And if you don't attack him, he gives you the rupee.
That's where I got. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And granted, I don't have the map. I am just doing this random. I am doing this on the fly, so I am like, oh, I met this guy. Okay.
So how many Triforce pieces did you have?
I think I had one.
One. Okay. I had a second. I got a second one during this hour because I still had the one from the last time, and I was on my way to a third when time ran out. But yeah, these dungeons are legit. The difficulty level definitely ramps up when you get into the actual dungeons. And that was part of the reason why I looked up the map.
Like I said, I think I'm going to look up if it moves on. I'm definitely going to try to get that map because I have no idea where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah,
if I think I just Googled like Link map or Legend of Zelda NES link or map PDF or something, and I found like somebody had scanned like an old tips and tricks guide that had the full map in it. So
I miss you, video game magazines. I miss you every day.
Oh man.
Even though I probably stopped buying you, that's why you went out of business. But I still miss you.
Because once Game Facts came around, there was not a whole lot of need for tips and tricks or
I even miss Game Facts. I don't know. When's the last time I used that?
I used it for when I went back after it had been eliminated from the tournament. I used it for Shadowgate when I went back to beat that just on my own because I wanted to. I used a walkthrough on Game Facts, but that was the first time in years because there's YouTube now.
Yep. And I remember, you remember when people would make the logo out of like other letters?
Yeah, the ASCII2 or whatever. Use the symbols to make it. Yeah, those were the days. Some of that art was really impressive.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. Yeah. Real good stuff.
Well, we're ready to pick a winner here?
Let's do it.
All right. Who you got?
It has to be Zelda once again. Zelda moves on just because, honestly, I don't think Mega Man 4 was a competition for it.
Nope. It's it's definitely the weakest of the Mega Man games we've played for the tournament. And Zelda, for all its flaws, is it's an iconic game. Definitely belongs in the final 16. I agree with you. Zelda's going through. It also got 100% of our online vote when we put out the poll on Facebook and Twitter. Yeah. That now it's not free and clear because now Zelda will face either River City Ransom or Super Mario Brothers 2 in the next round. So that is a steep hill to climb, which, let's be honest, it's probably going to be River City Ransom.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah. I can definitely see River City Ransom making it to the quarterfinals of our tournament, which it's crazy to think that we're that close to the quarterfinals after starting with 100. But yeah, so Zelda moves on. And it's time for us to move on to Ryan O's question of the week, which is, you have $10 to spend on DLC. Do you get A, 1 new character, B, 2 new levels, C, 3 legendary items, or D, 5 costumes?
New level. That's my choice.
That's the same. I mean, the real honest answer is it depends. Like, because it would depend on what that new character was or what those levels were. In all honesty, I don't care about the costumes. I think they're fun, but it's not a thing I need. I definitely don't need to spend actual money on it. So, I mean, if the new character was like amazing, then I might go with A. But I think just like at face value of the question, I would much rather have the 2 extra levels. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Right.
It's just, yeah.
If I like the game enough to be, if I like the game enough to be spending money on DLC, it's because I want more of the game. So I want more levels.
Agreed.
All right. Well, we will be back next week. Next week, not 8 weeks from now. We will return. The tournament continues in October, on the first Thursday of October, where we will be seeing, it's actually going to be the first time in round 3 where we will see the 2 games that were supposed to make it this far based on their seeds, when number 10 DuckTales takes on number 23 Bubble Bobble. That is going to be,
that's a good one.
That's going to be an insane matchup. Those games.
What's funny is there's a new Bubble Bobble that came out for Steam, I think, recently.
Yes, I saw that when I was researching for the for notes for when we do record that episode. I always like to get a head start on those. I can't remember what it's called though. Bubble Bobble. Story Bubble Bobble 4 Friends, the Baron's Workshop. Is that the one?
Nice. That should be it. Yeah.
Release date September 30th. Yep. It's the original arcade game and an expansion that was already out and a new workshop mode. That's new on Steam.
Yeah.
So let's see. What is that workshop mode? No, that's fun. You can build your own stages with blocks, enemies, cool. And the wind that blows the bubbles around in some levels. That's
really cool.
I may need to check that out. What are they? Release, the plan release date's September 30th. So all you can do on Steam right now is just add it to your wish list. But yeah, Bubble Bobble 4 Friends, the Baron's Workshop is coming this, what day is the 30th? Actually, next Thursday, man, we are good at this. When that episode drops, the day that episode comes out, you'll be able to play a new Bubble Bobble game.
That's awesome.
It's September 30th is next Thursday, which will be when that episode comes out. So that's exciting. So DuckTales against Bubble Bobble next week. Zelda beat Mega Man 4 this week. You can see the full bracket updated through, as of 8 weeks ago over at our challenge page, challenge.com/kingsofconsoles. Challenge is spelled like challenge, but with an O instead of the first E. Coffee, ko-fi.com/kingsofconsoles if you want to, buy us a cup of coffee. I'm not going to plug the Twitch. We don't Twitch anymore. Facebook.com/kingsofconsoles. We are at Kings of Consoles on Twitter. You can email us kingsofconsolespod@gmail.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at LoopyDate.
And I'm at RickyGN7.
And of course, you can subscribe to the show if you haven't already. Leave us a review in the iTunes store or whatever app you're using to listen to this. And rate the show as well, because the more ratings and the more reviews we get, the higher we show up in the search algorithms and more people can go on this insane journey with us that only has 25 more episodes. We're basically 3/4 of the way through this just madness of a tournament. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to next week. I'm gonna have a really good time playing both those games. Two of my all-time favorites. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, man. DuckTales. Here we go.
All right. Woo. All right.
Woo.
And,
Thank you. I was hoping you were. That's what I was aiming for. This is why we're friends.
That's right. That's exactly right. I'm the same wavelength. So yeah, until next week when we play DuckTales and Bubble Bobble, play old games.
Play old games, everyone. We're back.
Kings of Consoles is recorded in Nashville and Orlando and is produced and edited by me, Matt Dooley. Thanks to Captain's Portal for our theme song, intro for a non-existent video game, which can be found at freemusicarchive.org. And the music and sound effects for this week's games can be found with a quick Google search. The opinions expressed in this and every episode are our own, and we are in no way sponsored by or affiliated